I decided with this piece to really take on the tradition of the glamorous romantic piano concerto, which meant doing things which I'd never done before, stringing the material together in a kind of narrative form, in the sense of Rachmaninoff is very narrative. And I actually started with the end of the piece. The material at the end of the piece really represents me today, so to speak. What we did have at school was a fantastic art teacher, and by 13 I was really hooked on abstract expressionism and was doing a lot of painting all the way through. So when I finally heard really contemporary music like Stockhausen, it made perfect sense to me. You know, it was the equivalent of Pollock or something, you know, the piano pieces of the 50s. For me it was just like Pollock. And I went straight to, I mean, I did love Stravinsky from an early age, but I went straight then to the post-Webern school of serialism, and I sort of missed out on Schoenberg and the Second Viennese school. And I've never really had a great feeling for Expressionism, in a way. I liked the kind of classical, I mean, I think Stockhausen is a sort of classical composer in the sense it's all balanced and it's not espressivo. And then he came to South Africa in 1970 and lectured, and I met him and wrote a dissertation on his piano pieces in 71. And then when I went to Darmstadt in 72, I gave it to him and he liked it very much and he invited me to come and study with him. I think I had really great teachers, and I was fortunate. I mean, I was studying with Stockhausen when he was interested in teaching, and Richard Toop was phenomenal, and then Feldman was really interesting. And you want to pass these ideas on and continue the argument, continue the debate, because there's a lot of discussion. From that point of view, I really like it. But the real truth is that by looking at other people's work, you actually, for every idea you might pass out, you get 10 ideas yourself. And it also prevents you from getting too isolated and too self-involved. I mean, I saw it happening with Stockhausen, who would literally never listen to any music except his own, and who had no idea what was actually going on around him. And this is very dangerous sort of territory, because it leads to delusion quite rapidly. And I want to know what other people are doing. And also, I mean, I get forced to listen to music that I wouldn't have dreamt of listening to. The secret of composition is to get your mind into the right state, and to get into a state of calm and clarity. I mean, a really profoundly calm and clear state. I think people even who are agitated can do this once they are composing. And if you don't approach the material with that attitude, you're just going to end up with huge problems. So I think that the conscious, rational mind is a way of accessing or getting to new music, but I think it's a very long and difficult and tedious way of writing new music. There's a whole new generation of fabulous opera singers just emerged. People who've just sort of literally walked out of the townships with million-dollar voices and who've taken to opera like ducks to water. So I've been sponsoring a couple, I mean, one of whom is now in the Royal Academy and finishing, and is a star of the Royal Academy. And she was, her name's Pumeza Machikiza, and she grew up in Guguletu, which is one of the worst townships, in a shack, her own words, a shack made of tin and cardboard, sleeping on a mud floor. And she was a new South Africa, and this is what is so amazing and wonderful about the new South Africa. She went to the bank and said, I want to study music, and she got a bank loan. I mean, in the past she wouldn't have got into the university, but that they would give her a bank loan on the basis of nothing, of no assets. And she went to university and started studying, and now is really an opera star. She's on the posters in London, singing Traviata. The Icon Gallery likes to have their big shows to somehow spread out into the city or to go into other media, and he wanted immediately to do sound, and it's just across the way from the Birmingham Contemporary Music Group's hall, and then he's also putting things in a Victorian tower. So he wanted music in there and so on, and then when I was asked, I got this idea of having, because it was going to be 3 spaces, but 3 ensembles playing in 3 spaces, but exactly as in a museum where you can hear all 3 ensembles, but with different degrees of loudness. So I thought I'd write it with independent. They play independently, but it would nevertheless have to work, even if they got really out of sync. And then an electronic element which could travel through the space.